On today's episode, I have my wife's 2013 GMC Denali with a 6.6 Duramax. And this thing is like a spaceship compared to my 5.9. This is not my forte here. The problem is, there's an exhaust leak. If you look really carefully, right there, whoops, gonna focus. Right there, there's a crack in that EGR pipe. And the shop said it'd be, I don't think the shop has the right part, because I think they think it's the down pipe, or the up pipe, whatever pipe you want to call it. We call it the down pipe on Cummins. Because they say it goes around to the back of the block. This one doesn't. I don't know exactly what this pipe does, but it starts right there. Starts right over there and loops around under all this shabukel and comes around over to here and bolts in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the intake off, get down to it a little bit closer, and see if I can't if I can't find one in town in stock, because we need this truck going, then I'm going to see if I can weld that crack up and let it ride. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and pull some of these electrical components off. I've got to bring my truck in, or bring my truck closer to the door so I can get some tools. But I got all these electrical connectors here. Figure out how to get some of them to come off. There we go. There's 3 of them out of the way. The air box is going to have to come out, so I mean we'll have to pull the screws out, pull that worm gear clamp, and this whole box will pop out. Take this recirculate line off. This goes to the EGR, fairly certain. I don't know a whole lot about these trucks, but I'm fairly certain this goes to the EGR. Pull that off, and then we're gonna get down into it. Yay! Alright, so now that the airbox is out of the way, we can see a little bit better what we're up against here. So, that's the split. I called the Chevy house in town. He said that he did not have one, but it showed that the GMC shop did. So, we may not be out of luck. Hopefully we can find one in town that's not going to cost an arm and a leg, but that's what we're up against right there. And then we're going to get all the rest of this crap off the top. Obviously you pull the top of the airbox off, you pull that worm gear clamp loose, you can get it all off, and then you can just pull the airbox out and get it out of your way. And then of course the EGR hose, the heater hose, we can go ahead and take this half off here as well. The clamp that was on this half actually bent and broke the little tab off, but it still works, so there's that. Let's see if we can get this one to break loose here and come off. Get it out of our way. Or not. Let's not. Never mind. Let's not. We'll just leave that alone. Let's see. Just put this back down on there, and then we're going to not take that one off, because there's still a lot of coolant left in there. I think that goes to the heater core, so that explains it. But anyway, so I'm trying to think of what all we need to get off the top here. Looks like we need to take this off. I gotta find the tab to pull this one apart. And then, am I stupid? Oh, it's because it's broke. It doesn't have a keeper on it anymore. Pull that one loose. And then we need to pull, that looks like a 10 mil we can pull off the top. And then I think, what else is this airbox attached to? There's a 10 mil up here. Pull that off. Actually, probably need to pull this one off first, and then I think it'll actually come loose. Oh, there's one on the back side too. Pull those two off. Then I think we can pull the top of this off. And And then we really don't have to take too much out to get down to where we're going, because we just need to be able to access those 2 bolts and these 2 bolts over here. The problem is, or 4 bolts, however many it is. The problem is we need to be able to wiggle that thing out of there. So we're gonna need a little bit of room to do that. So anyway, still a little bit of tear down to do on it. I have the part number written down in my office. I'm waiting on the places to open up before I start calling them, but in the meantime I'm out here taking this apart so that I can, you know, fix it. And this is another thing that you're going to want to watch here too. Watch your wire loom where it touches these AC lines, because it'll vibrate a hole. It'll rub a hole in there and then it'll cause issues. Specifically, a fuel code issue is one that comes up very regularly. I think this is actually the line that normally does it. I think, which this one's been routed out of the way. I think originally this line comes up and over right here, and it comes over and rubs a hole in it, I think. But anyway, I'm going to continue to tear down on this thing. Well, that one was quick, easy, and painless. So you just pull the 2 top bolts off, and then you can pop it up off of there, off that O-ring, and then slide it off of here. It looks like it had some O-ring treatment on it too. I have to look that up and see if we need to go back with anything for that. What else? Looks like, as much as I hate to say it, it looks like our best bet is to pull this intake elbow off right here, this whole top tube. I don't really want to do that, but that looks like it's going to be the best way to get access to getting this thing out of here. The good news is, so far, you don't have to have an entire Snap-on truck's worth of tools to work on this thing, so that's not too bad. Once you pull the air box off, there's a few miscellaneous plugs that you're going to want to pull out. Things that I'm going to have to make sure that I remember to plug back in. There are, let's see, there's a 13 mil here and a 13 mil on the other side that you need to take out. That clamp's held down by a 13 mil. That clamp's held down by a 10 mil. And then there's a 10 mil bolt hidden up under here. If you can get, my little short stubby extension didn't do it, so I'm going to put this long extension on and pull that bolt out. I wish that it was a fork so you could just pull it out, but it's not. Oh yeah, this intercooler boot, take this lock ring, twist it back counterclockwise, and then you can open it up and pop that off. But I'm in the process of pulling this off so I can get down to it. And that'll be, I mean, honestly, that'll be pretty much it. I think everything will be out of the way enough to the point where we can get this thing out of here. So, and I did forget that your engine oil dipstick tube here, these 2 bolts that hold this on, I think they're 13s as well. They go up in here, so you'll have to pull those out. That's it. That's full access right there. All the way. We can pull, those look like 13 mil bolts back there on that half of it. And those look like 13 mil bolts right there on that half of it. And we can pull those bolts, and I think we can actually get it out, and we'll be good to go. And then I need to go in my office and call the GMC dealer and make sure that they have one of these in stock. I actually have the part number written down in my office. That's what I was going to say earlier. I have the part number written down in my office that I can call and say, hey, I need one of these. And hopefully they'll have one, and it won't cost an arm and a leg to get. This may be easier to do with, that's not 13. What is that? I don't know what size that is. Try an 11 maybe? I don't think it's a 10. Nope, it's not an 11. 12? Why would they make it a 12 mil? It would make 0 sense. But it is. It's a 12 mil. Yay. Alright, so the back side is 12 mil. And the front side is 13. That's great. Alright, cool. I was pulling the bolts loose on this front one when I was working on this one right here on this side. and I had my extension in my socket, and I was taking it loose with my fingers from over here, and it slipped off and came out of my fingers and fell, and it didn't hit the floor. I'm pretty sure it's under the CP4. So whoever replaces the CP4 next time is going to get a stubby extension and a 13 mil Craftsman socket. And onto the back side, I might get lucky and find it if I can get this tube out of the way. But anyway, to the back side we go. And there's, I mean, no good way to get down here and get this crap out of here, but 3 of the 4 bolts are removed. And this one's loose, I just got to get it off. But I can't work with one hand, so. This really hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be. There's the split right there, and it's pretty long. I mean, all in all, right now, I'm probably into it. What time is it? 8:41. Probably about an hour. Maybe an hour. So, not too bad. I'm going to go in here and call and see if the GMC house has one in stock like Chevy house said they do. Okay, this is the new pipe. And let me tell you, as a welder, this thing disappoints me. It's over $200 for this thing. Look at all the spatter that's on it. Just horrible work. Anyway, here's your part number. Somewhere in here. 1263223. That's a GM part number. Now to put it all back together. Should be pretty easy to go back with everything. I don't lose another socket in the process. I think these gaskets, they're crushed gaskets, but they still have a little bit of a lip on them. So I think they'll still be okay. Hopefully they won't leak. I think they'll be okay. I've reused gaskets like that before. I don't even see one in the back. I don't know if it... Oh, is that it? Sitting right there on the top, right there. Oops. Knock everything down. Yeah, it's right here. There it is. Got it. Okay. Yeah, they're multi-layer gaskets. Multi-layer metal gaskets. And they got a little bit of a ridge left on them, so they should be good. Alright. Now the fun begins. Alright, so that's reinstalled. This rear one is a pain. Getting that bottom one in there, you can't get your fingers in there or anything to get on it. So take you a 6-inch extension. That's the 12 mil. Take you a 6-inch extension, get you a little bitty ball of masking tape, stuff it down in the socket and it'll stick. And then take you a screwdriver, stick a screwdriver in the bolt hole so you can get the gasket to stay. And I mean, if you drop the gasket, you're screwed. So just be real careful with that. Now the next part is we got to put this intake back on. This bolt was not in it from before. I'm assuming from when they did the CP4. That bolt wasn't in it when I opened everything up. So we're gonna put this intake back on. It takes these, and we're on the downhill slope now. All right, well this is irritating me. So I robbed one of the 13 mil head bolts that I had to put in this bracket because this was sitting up, and trying to put the intake on, it's sitting on this, it won't let it fit. So that means that I'll probably just put one here and one there instead of having one in both of these holes. It's fine, whatever. However, it still won't go. So I took this and I beat it down. I've tried like taking and loosening those up. Those two are loose on this, so it'll let it lever up. But then when I try to put this intake on, that might have actually done it that time. I think that might have done the trick. At least enough for me to get everything in here, get it started. Knock that tab down some. So maybe, just maybe, that will get us what we need to get it started. But this is aluminum, so be very careful about it because you can crack this stuff real easily. Trying to pry and move stuff using aluminum. Get that one to start, but you can see it hits it on that tab right there. So if I can get that bolt to start, then we might have it. Okay, well, I got it in. When you put this back together, make sure this little pyro wire isn't trapped under your flange. I didn't do that. Just keep that in mind that you don't do that. Let's go ahead and plug that back in right there. That's your 10 mil. That's your 13 mil. Remember, be very careful when you're trying to torque these aluminum pieces down because you can snap one in a hurry. I've snapped the intake elbow on my Dodge before. It's not my favorite thing in the world to have two pieces of metal touching, and I'm fairly certain that they are touching, but hey, it is what it is. And my light's about to die. So doesn't have the same amount of bolts as when I started. That one right there, we're just going with one right there. Couldn't get one down here on this side, but it's in place. It's not going anywhere. Just because GM, when they made their stupid EGR pipe, didn't fit. Make sure you have your back bolts tightened down back there on that flange. And now it's just a matter of plugging wires back up and putting the intake back in. That's it. Oh, well, we got to put the air box back on top. But this can just spin this little ring back right here. It just snaps on. Make sure you push that back to lock it. So that's back on. We've already put this on. The only thing that I haven't done is put the clamp back on. Do that right now, actually. This clamp is pretty well trashed, but I may have to have two hands to do that one. But anyway, make sure you get all your wires and stuff plugged back in. That one goes right there. Most of this stuff should only go one way, so you don't really have to worry about putting anything in the wrong spot. Just make sure you don't have anything dangling and hangling. These two go to the air box. This one right here goes somewhere there. If you so wanted to take the plenum all the way off, you could. You can pull this right here off. That's a positive battery cable. You can get in here, pull this cover back, pull that terminal loose, but I would recommend taking your battery cables off before you do that, obviously. That's plugged in, and you can see where that harness is melted, where it was sitting like that when I found it, when I found the exhaust leak. So that's out of the way. That's plugged back in right there. Let's see. I think that's everything that plugs in till we get the air box back in. And if it's not, then we'll find out real fast because it'll throw a code. So here's the intake cap right here. This goes through that little slot right there and pops down on top. There it is right there. Then that takes these right here. Those are 10 mils. They go right there. change sockets to tighten those up because I have the 13 on my ratchet right now. But those go there. I have to go back and watch the video. I think the one on the bottom down here is actually one of these 10 mils as well. If I can get it in there, I'll put it in there, but if I can, I'm not going to worry about it because it's not going anywhere. I'm more worried about vibration than I am anything else. Yeah, stuff your piece of masking tape down in there, let it kind of sit on the edges and the sides of your socket. That'll hold your nut or your bolt in place. Alright, everything's back together. Airbox is in, tied in, everything's back in. This wiring harness routes over the top of the airbox. I didn't realize that. I routed it underneath and I had to fish it out after I'd already put it back in. So just lay this one over to the side. Don't put that hose on yet when I told you to. Wait until after the airbox is in because I once again forgot that this went over the top of it. So just wait on that. Other than that, everything is good. It'll need a coolant top off, but I've got to get an oil change in it anyway, so they'll do that then. Because I only lost maybe a cup of coolant out of it. So I guess now it's time to see if it will crank. Make sure it doesn't throw any codes. And say permanent goodbye to my 13 mil socket and stubby extension. Don't know what that was. Possibly an exhaust leak. It's either an exhaust leak or a boost leak. Two things here. I pulled the flange back off on this side, on the valve side, and pulled the gasket out. And there's two things I noticed. For one, notice how that doesn't mate up straight, which means that it being at an angle like that, it's harder for it to mate up true. As far as a solution for that, I haven't got there yet. One of the easier options is to go get a new gasket for this and see if it has enough rib to seal it off with a new gasket. And that's easier than taking this whole stupid thing apart again. So I'm going to go to O'Reilly's and get a new gasket, and hopefully I may even can double stack it to where I've got enough thickness to seal it off before we have to go pulling everything apart again. So this is the old original gasket that I tried to reuse. And this is the new Felpro gasket, and the profile on this one, since it hasn't been used, is much better. This is Felpro 71443 from O'Reilly's, and if anything, I'll try to stack them and see if that gets me enough that I can get a good mating thickness so that it'll quit screaming at me like a little girl, hopefully. So anyway, there's that. Well, it's been torqued down to 80 Ugga Duggas with a new gasket in there. We're gonna see if it still leaks. Crossing my fingers, hoping and praying that it does not. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Sounds okay so far. Probably have to torque it back down after it goes through a heat cycle, but in the meantime, I think I'm going to take it on a highway test. Put it up to temperature and get on it and see what it does. And also because I like to play around and test my skills, I'm probably going to try to fix that old pipe as well. So, I'll get this thing out on the road. Alright, well, we're up to temperature now. No crazy sounds. I think we're good. I think we're good. Cool. Alright, well, that's how you remove and replace an EGR pipe. I think it's the recirculation pipe is what it is. It goes from the exhaust to the EGR valve. Yeah, so there you have it. And before you say anything, the EGR pipe that I got was genuine GM parts. It's just wasn't made very well. I mean, the angle was wrong on it. I know the angle was wrong on it. The clearance on the bolt tab was wrong. Yeah, it just wasn't great. It's a very expensive part. It's over $200 for that part, for it to be not precise like it should have been. And so that irritates me. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna pull in here and put some blue juice in this thing and take it back to the shop and put it back on the trailer so I can take it home and my wife can have it back. So those are a few things. I always highly recommend that you watch the video all the way through. I know that this is at the end of the video, but I always recommend you watch the video all the way through before you start the project, because you may find out stuff along the way like I did that you want to know beforehand. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and catch y'all when something else breaks.